What the heck was that? I mean, we knew that Montreal wasn't going to be a pushover. They look really, really strong. They got a lot of depth. They embarrassed the Canucks the last two games that they played them. But we thought Ottawa gave them a lot of confidence. Winnipeg, they proved that they can do it against a team that isn't Ottawa. They came in and Suzuki scores right away. There was sort of a lucky break that turned the Canucks offense the other way. Suzuki picks up an easy rebound. I watched the replay a bunch of times, and Pettersson was just coasting back. He was the furthest, he was the deepest Canuck when the turnover happened. It was a broken stick at the blue line. Miller lost the puck like he would do many, many times this game. And Pettersson skated a bit, and then he just coasted, and he watched as nobody picked up Suzuki. Miller and Hughes were just standing there in the net, kind of staring at nobody. Didn't pick up Suzuki. He just strolled in. He's a great player. He's a smart player. He makes it look pretty effortless. But Pettersson, if he would have been pushing the whole way back, he would have been on Suzuki, and it would have been a great breakup of the play. It would have, I don't know, maybe they could have gone back the other way. They would have probably been exhausted, but Suzuki scores right away. There were so many Canuck giveaways. You know, Pettersson would have a lot more assists if the league would count all the goals that he's setting up for the other teams. Him and Miller were awful. There's a line of Gaudette, Miller, and Pettersson. Just set the amount of passes they gave up. I guess they're really low in confidence, and they're just forcing passes. So many terrible plays and just like straight up passes to the other team. It was just awful. I think Pettersson only looked really dangerous on maybe one or two shifts. Anyways, let's go through it. Chatfield on an early shift broke up about 3 or 4 different plays in the defensive zone. He looked good for the most part. He had a terrible, terrible play later on that led to a goal that should have been an interference call or a holding call or a tripping call on Suzuki, but he got away with it, and the good ones get away with it more than the bad ones, don't they? Hoglander, his first big shift, he steals the puck to keep it in the offensive zone, maintains possession with some nice stick handling to get a shot on net. Him and Horvat are working the boards like the Sedins. More moves, a nice pass for Schmidt to get a point shot. All this just wears out Montreal. Montreal, all they can do after that great shift is just dump it back, and the Canucks have a line change. Other than getting a goal, that's the best possible shift outcome you can get, is wearing out the other team so much that all they can do is just dump it, so that when the new lines come over, you have possession and you're going right back in. Besser, talking of giveaways, he had a huge giveaway in the neutral zone, causing a bunch of Montreal pressure, and he gave it away again, causing a really dangerous chance. Like, the lotto line at this point in the first period just looked awful. Miller, after that, goes into the first power play. He's just like forcing plays, fighting the puck. The second power play comes out. Gaudette loses the puck in front of the goalie. He's the last man back. He's the closest one back to poor Holtby. God, I felt bad for him this game. And Gaudette just lackadaisical, fumbles over it, shorthanded goal. And he's right back to the bench. He was already getting the low minutes, and that's not going to let... I mean, Green's going to staple him to the bench after that. And that's so early in the game, you can't, right? You know, the Canucks are bobbling passes, they're falling over, they're breaking sticks. Should we be checking out the equipment manager? Is there a serious equipment problem with these skates and sticks that are... Like, after a while, I watched Pettersson fall down, like, probably 6 times. And nobody around him, just falling on the ice. That's when the team is not feeling it, when stuff like that is happening. You know, Virtanen, I usually rip on him. He was along the boards, and he made this amazing shifty pass to Motte in the slot. I watched it about 5 times to see how he did it. He had it on the near side boards to the camera, and he kind of brought it up, and he just did this little shifty move and somehow got it behind him or like through his legs or something straight to Motte in the slot. It was a really amazing play. And then he had a give and go. And after that, he was a passing option to keep the play alive. He had a give and go to the defense for his own chance in the slot. This is the best he's been all season. All year, actually. Or at least let's say best he's been this season. He had some good moments in the playoffs. I'm really happy to see Motte get, at this time when I wrote this note, I was really happy to see Motte get offensive help because him and Beagle are doing surprisingly well. And we'll see later on in this game that Beagle has nice hands. You know, he's more than most people give him credit for because he just seems like such a hard-nosed fourth line center, wins a lot of face-offs, penalty kills, all that kind of stuff, veteran guy. But, the guy can score. I was hoping that maybe Jake could be that winger on the line because Roussel's offering nothing. No offense and just takes penalties. So, totally done with Roussel. After this game, I feel like I'm totally done with Gaudette. And Virtanen, I mean, he's pretty frustrating to watch, but if you can just play in the fourth line, which is really their third line, because Beagle and Motte are fast, create chances, and are trustworthy. If he could just play with either Sutter or Motte and provide a little bit more offense against less competition, at this point I was happy about him. Gaudette did have a goal. After he had the power play giveaway, he lines up for an offensive zone face-off. It's him, Sutter, and McEwen. They just can't get anything set up. This would be a theme for the rest of the game. These guys, as you can see, this is an unassisted goal for Gaudette. They have no chemistry. The three of them just go towards the puck like a peewee team, and it's like there's no passing option. You need to spread out. You need to go along the boards and create that momentum and swing that puck around. They're terrible together. But anyways, they can't get anything set up. The puck goes the other way. But Gaudette wins a puck battle in the defensive zone on the far side. He holds the puck on his stick for that extra second to make a nice safe play to Myers. Myers clears it right to a Canadian in the neutral zone. But Gaudette in the right place at the right time in the center ice, steals that pass, turns into a dangerous Canuck rush, although it's like Gaudette, Sutter, and McEwen all bunched together. They don't even spread out to create any like tic-tac-toe. They just all go towards the puck like moths to the flame. And Gaudette scores. I mean, he has a good shot. But it was kind of like a toe drag wrist shot, and I'm not sure he wanted it to be that kind of like a knuckleball changeup, but that's definitely what fooled Price on it. So I don't know. Virtanen had this really weird shift where he went in with Motte and Beagle. He did a bit of forechecking, and then he just kind of puts his hand up, and he goes and gets off the ice. And I'm thinking, the shift's not over, man. Besser comes on the ice, and it's Besser and Motte and Beagle for like another minute, pressuring in the zone and cleaning up the shift. It was really strange. I mean, if you're tired, get off the ice. And Virtanen probably has terrible conditioning because he's been out of a few games and he's been known to come to camp out of shape. That was strange. I was trying to think of the last time I saw that. It was pretty odd. The end of the first period, the Lotto line just looked terrible again, but Jake finished really strong, and that was his best period of the season. I was pretty happy at that point of the game. Suzuki scores. Where do we have this? So he opens up, Gaudette. Oh yeah, there's the Jeff Petey goal, there was a Gallagher goal, there was a Petey to Foley. Where's this Suzuki goal? Oh yeah, it wasn't a Suzuki goal, it was the Gallagher goal, right. So on the Gallagher goal, this is the one where Chatfield is trying to break out of the Canucks zone. And he kind of knifes across diagonal and he goes straight to Edler. Edler is kind of frozen. Like, I don't know what you want me to do at this point. He gets checked by Suzuki. Suzuki loses his stick. sees that it's now a race between Edler and Gallagher to the loose puck for a breakaway, and just goes and grabs onto Edler and trips Edler. And I mean, you could call a hold, you could call an interference, you could call tripping. He did everything, and it caused a blatant breakaway. And Gallagher puts it away. It's a nice shot by Gallagher. I think he did. Yeah, that's right. He kind of went for the shot, went left, quick backhand up high. No chance. Great goal. After that, Pettersson is in the offensive zone, forces another terrible pass, and causes another breakaway. Holtby flashes the glove save, and then immediately, he almost like baseball bats this pass, throws it down, gives it right back to Pettersson, and you're thinking, all right, let's turn it around. Goes to Miller. No, just another unforced turnover, and gives it away. It was crazy. Now we see the line shuffling come out. Miller, Horvat, and Virtanen go over the boards together, and they end up, that shift, they finally had a good chance, a good shot. And that was after the Gallagher goal. So that was in the second or the third period. That was just gross, man. The Canucks at one point were trying to get some momentum, and this is after the line shuffling. The Canucks seemed like they were getting it. They had confidence. They still were playing like they had a chance to win, and they wanted to. And Goddard playing defense, and he just, right in front of the ref, gets his stick caught in the legs of a Montreal forward, and who shall remain nameless because I don't know who it was. And he's got his stick caught in between, and he doesn't let go, and he just kind of sticks with him, and the ref has no chance, or no option but to call a penalty. I mean, again, it was like the Suzuki non-call, except the opposite, where he could have called a hook, a hold, an interference. No, not interference, because he didn't have the puck. But, and yeah, I think he gave him a tripping. Just terrible. The game was over at that point. They, oh my God, on the power play, Tyler Myers gets hit with a shot in the knee, and he goes down like Peter from Family Guy. He's down, he's like, he falls away from the net, leaves the guy open. I mean, you're 6'6", just fall over towards the net and at least block the lane. Easy pass, tap in, Holtby. No chance on that power play goal. That was Toffoli getting involved. 6-1. Good God. At this point, I was hoping Jeff Petey, who had 2 goals, I was hoping, maybe he'll get a hat trick. That'd be nice. That'd be nice for Jeff Petey. What else happened? Pettersson had his best offensive zone shift when he was playing with Höglander, of course, who by himself kept the play alive multiple times. He's been the best Canuck in the last, definitely the best Canuck in the Jets game, and the best Canuck in this game. Good God. McEwen had another very solid shift. The guy gets in lanes, he breaks up passes, he just uses his body, just kind of rotates around, and like so many pucks bounce off his skates and his stick, and he's a pretty smart player. I think he's got a lot more confidence than what we saw from him in the playoffs, where I was not a fan of his game at all. I thought he was totally overwhelmed. Here he looked like one of the very few Canucks that was looking like they were able to play their game and were effective. He was effective at what he did out there. Virtanen and Miller had a shift. They start a breakout. That's right. Yeah. Virtanen passes up to Miller. They start hustling out. Miller thinks, hey, we're 2 forwards, right? We're gonna start rushing through the neutral zone. Passes back, and it was kind of a bad pass because it was a bit ahead of Virtanen, but Virtanen stopped skating, so he wasn't there to get the pass. Like, Virtanen plays with the intensity like of somebody who's in an exhibition game against the local police department, a charity game. I don't think you need to hustle around and you don't have to be the fourth line no skill guy who hustles around and gets himself into bad spots. But there's really a lack of it. It's probably a conditioning thing. But he looked pretty lazy there. It was just like a terrible game. Beagle's goal. Motte and Beagle have been the best duo of the game. Absolutely. They've been the best duo of the last, other than Höglander and whoever. I also not lying. Yeah, I'd say Horvat and Höglander and Motte and Beagle by far. But this game, it was all them. They had sustained pressure in the offensive zone. A puck gets thrown behind the net. Motte sees nobody's going after this. Hustles on over. Circles around. Really nice, quick pass. Price is just watching it and realizes, oh, shit, Beagle's in front of me. Boom. Beautiful shot. Top shelf. Really nice shot by Beagle and Motte. They look fantastic. These guys have skill, man. They should get... If you could maybe, like, bump down Pearson to that line, or if Virtanen was effective, or if Gaudette was effective, or if you had a Toffoli in the lineup and you could bump everybody down a bit. How nice would that be? But they don't. They have a real depth problem because they got this log jam at center of the Sutter. Of what do you do? Do you have Sutter and Beagle is not really working in terms of sustained pressure, and Gaudette's definitely not working. It's tough to know what they're going to do because there's no help coming. You know, and then you see that Montreal has Corey Perry, who wasn't even in the lineup until recently, until the Canucks injured Joel Armia, who's a great player, Armia. And Corey Perry comes in, and he's still, you know, he's not the world beater he was when he was in his prime, but the guy's got skill and can do a lot of things. I mean, he can stick handle, he can make plays, he can shoot, he's physical. He's an agitator. Leadership. And the guy's on, your fourth line, third line? And he was definitely getting in the Canucks' heads. And that's what the Canucks would love to have. It's just that extra depth guy that you pay basically nothing, that you can scratch and have in your taxi squad. You know, like if Louis Eriksson was useful. At this point, I think I'd rather see Louis Eriksson instead of Gaudette or Virtanen, and definitely not Roussel. Can you take both of them out and put in Eriksson? Because Gaudette is such a liability. Yeah, he scored, but he had a breakaway. People score on breakaways, is what they do. Good for him. And it was a knuckleball. It seemed lucky. I think if you had Eriksson with Sutter and McEwen, I guess, and you just knew, okay, they're not going to get scored on. That's fine. And then you've got... And Sutter's not much of a playmaker, but Eriksson's not ever going to be in a spot to score. And yeah, it's a pretty slow line, but they can keep up with each other, I guess. And then you try to get some help for it, and then maybe keep Virtanen with Motte and Beagle. But I don't know, you know, actually, when Motte and Beagle scored that goal, it was after Virtanen had left the ice. They were better when he was off the ice, and they scored as McEwen was coming back into the zone. He's just a negative influence on them. Man, Miller had another unforced turnover as well to end that off. It was brutal. All right, this team, Pettersson and Miller, have looked really bad. I know Pettersson's been getting points, but he got a lot of points, I believe, against Ottawa. So, good for them. Like, I noticed that Demko was first star. He was a star of the week for the NHL. But I have a feeling that most teams, when they get 3 games against Ottawa, someone on their team is probably going to become the star. And Demko looked great, and he played great against the Jets. For sure, he did. He really kept them in that first period. And against Ottawa had a million shots, right, in a lot of those games. So Demko was great, but Ottawa's terrible. And that's, when people talk about who's the top team in the North Division, Montreal or Toronto, well, Toronto lost to Ottawa How embarrassing is that? Montreal, they looked well coached. They're relentless. They have so much depth on defense and forwards. They don't have a big game breaker, but you don't need one when you've got like a Toffoli in your third line, and you got a well-balanced defense that can score, that can move the puck, and can play defense. And you got Carey Price and Jake Allen. I would love it if the Habs won the cup. At least when your team gets embarrassed by the eventual cup winner, you can say, well, we ran into the cup winner. It's not as bad. It's not like when the Canucks got embarrassed by the Flames in the playoffs in 2014, 2013? And then the Flames got embarrassed in their next round. That's when you know. That's when it was time to change. Like when Tortorella said it was a stale core. He was right. So yeah, what do you do with this team at this point? I don't know how you're going to get help this season. They'd be in a much worse position, obviously, if they didn't have Höglander, who it just miraculously showed up and has been probably the best player in at least the last couple games. He had that real hot start, and then I noted in my other reviews that he was sort of struggling to find his way how to get through, but he's figured it out. At this point, like I said, yeah, Gaudette I think is a big liability. I mean, his confidence is shattered, and maybe if you can build that confidence back up to trade him. And Virtanen was more effective than Gaudette. Roussel, if he didn't take the stupid penalties, I'd be fine with it. But at this point, I'd rather see probably Eriksson and Virtanen over Gaudette and Roussel. It's just too many bad plays and bad penalties. If you're not going to score, you need to be good at defense. And if you're not really that great at defense, you cannot take penalties. That can't be the only numbers you offer your team. It's 2 minutes here and there. What a pathetic game. I felt so bad for Holtby. I felt bad for Höglander. I felt bad for Schmid. It's harder to rank the defensemen. I mean, Hughes definitely caused one of the goals when... that was another goal where Hughes had it on his side. It was a Montreal dump in to his side. He starts coming around towards Ben. Ben doesn't move and decides to stay by the net. Hughes skates into trouble, loses the puck. Goal, I believe. I believe that was one of the goals, yeah. Oh, that was the Jeff Petey one. And then, because Pettersson and Miller came over to the Hughes side late, and then nobody was there, and Petey just realizes, ooh, I've got about 25 feet. He came right off the bench. The replay's hilarious. Most of the replay, he's on the bench drinking water. He gets off, goes straight to the net. That was so painful. And they have to play them tomorrow. 24 hours. Are we going to find out something is wrong with Pettersson? Is he sick? I would hope so. I'd hope that something just... Maybe it's a conditioning thing with Pettersson and Miller. Or... I don't know. Their equipment. Because they just have not been even close to adequate when it actually counts. Well, thanks for letting me rant. Let me know what you thought. Good God.